Now it is high time to understand these wrong perceptions about nation and region, and we must rebuild the history of India in such a way that it reflects the what you call the plural character of Indian society, the social formations, cultural formations, and political developments all must be incorporated to give you a comprehensive idea of India. And this is one factor. It is high time that besides the Prakritic, the Dravidian sources had to be considered and adequately accommodated in the national history of India. Then I will come to the other points. Coming to Tamil Nadu, when we discuss issues about history of Tamil Nadu, we don't relate it with all India level developments. We mostly confine ourselves to developments within Tamil Nadu, micro level or macro level. The Tamil kingdoms, the Sangam age, then the Kalabras, the Tamil kingdoms, the empires, and then conflicts, and then we come across the challenges from the Deccan region and from the northern region. But even here you must know that we treat the entire pre-Kalabra age as one chronological unit. Entire pre-Kalabra Tamil country you treat as a single chronological unit, as if the same system prevailed for 1,000 years, because Sangam age could be extended to 6th century BC. If you treat the 3rd century AD as the demise of Sangam, 800 years are there, in between 900 years are there, but there are indications that the Tamil culture pre-existed 6th century BC. For nearly 1,000 years, no culture could have existed without a change. There could have been political changes, there could have been cultural changes, there could have been also the what you call changes in the belief system, social organization, social formations. But adequate effort have not been made so far to trace the social developments of Tamils for 1,000 years before, prior to the coming of the Kalabras. There were age of Thinais, there were ages of the urban centers, and then the Tamil history. Its contribution to the India's past was remarkable. The Tamil language is older than the Sanskrit tradition. The earliest Sanskrit inscription comes only in the 2nd century AD, Rudradaman's inscription, Junagadh inscription. But the earliest Tamil inscriptions in the Brahmi script belong to the 3rd or 4th century BC, around Madurai. Now we come across graffiti from the excavations at Kedadi and other places. They belong to 6th century BC. So even 6th century, Tamil was considered language, and at least by 4th century BC, it was a well-developed language. So Tamil was anterior to Sanskrit at least by some 800 years. So you should have commenced India's history from Tamil sources. That is why once V.A. Smith, Vincent Smith lamented that so far the history of India has been written as if the South did not exist. He suggested that hereafter Indian history should commence not from the Indus or from the Ganges, but from the Kaveri, Krishna and Vaigai rivers. But nobody is willing to enforce what Vincent Smith desired. So our antiquity was considerably older than that of the Gangetic traditions, Sanskrit traditions. Even Sanskrit should have been the outcome of refining the Prakriti. So Prakriti was the older language. So the South India had a linguistic tradition which was much older, much versatile. That is one thing. Then Tamils developed their own distinct social and cultural systems. The ancient Tamil society, as reflected by the ancient literature, which comes under the category Sangam, a society which did not have a priestly class. There was no priestly class. In the Vedic society, the first class was the priestly class, Brahmana or Purohita. Tolkapi itself mentions that Arasar Andanar. Andanar is a saner, wise people, does not mean performers of certain yajnas. So there was no priestly class in the Tamil society. And there were no restrictions between different sections from intermingling. Even Thinai, it allowed Thinai Mayakam. A person from a hilly region could go and socially interact with the other groups. So we had a different social formation, different social concept. No artificial restrictions were there. It never refers to birth-based restrictions. So we had a different social formation. It underwent changes later on, that is a different story. And then our language, our literature, Tamil literature, is second to none. The earliest Sanskrit scriptures were sacred laws. Something like, during the time of performing yajnas, they make certain requests to the natural forces. So they were mostly meant for religious or ritual purposes. So these were composed only by those people who were involved in it, the priestly class. But the ancient Tamil literature, because one of the earliest poets were Mamulanar, who refers to contemporary Nandas and Mauryas. That means he was living in the 4th century, at the end of the 4th century or beginning of the 3rd century. In those days, this literature, I don't want to say that Sangam was an institution that existed there at Madurai for so many years, because that has to be explored, because a critical analysis had to be made. But the pre-Kalabara literature, the earliest pre-Kalabara literature, when they were combined together, presented to as Sangam literature, they were not the product of the priestly class for priestly purposes. They were expressions of human sufferings or human experiences. A few of them adore deities. So that is a different thing. So our culture began, Tamil culture began for a concern for the people, not for a concern for the Almighty, unknown Almighty. There is a different beginning for Tamils even in metaphysical matters. For the Sanskrit tradition, fire was the basic thing. It was the medium through which you can approach anything. Agni was the prime deity, conveyor of everything to the desired gods. If you want to perform a yajna, requesting something from the Indra, you put the oblations in the fire. Fire occupied the center place of the Sanskritic rituals. To a certain extent, even the Persians gave similar treatment to fire. But the Tamil traditions give significance, importance to water, punal, neeradudal. And they did not give primacy to fire. They gave primacy to water and so-called hydraulic forces. They were not interested in yajnas. Yajnas were performed mostly for the benefits or the progress or victories of the rulers. But in the Tamil Sangam literature, we find the poets mention too certain vidas. Vida is different from yajna. The vida is that what a congregation of people to exchange their happiness. It was a joint function. They exchanged pleasantries. They exchanged their food. Vidas were there, mostly during the full moon or any other days when the river becomes flooded. Adi Piruk, for example. Vidas were there. So they gave priority to Vidas, which had nothing to do with the political heads, polity. It was a social function, not a priestly and princely function. This is our tradition, Tamil tradition. Then we say that the Tamils, as the rest of the South India, gave priority to the worship of Mother Goddess. Mother Goddess was worshipped in different names. There was a Meghala, they even referred to in Mani Meghala, a Tamil classical literature. And Kaduval, that is the forest dwelling forces, the divinities. There are a number of female deities mentioned in Tamil literature. And every Tamil village will have a sanctum sanctorum or a place for the Mother Goddess. And that Mother Goddess had nothing to do with the male deities. She is unique goddess. There are of course certain female deities mentioned in the Vedas, Ushas, Gayatri, but there were subsidiary ones. The different forms of the what you call Surya, Aditya, the dawn, dusk, all these things reflecting. They did not occupy the place of primacy. So we had a system where we made the female deities as the favorable deities, and our Tinai deities, topographical deities, had no parallel in the Sanskrit literature. Seyon for the Kurinji, the hilly tract, and Mayon for the Mullai, the pastoral land, Vendan for Marudam, the plains, and Varuna for the Neithal. So we had a different belief system where the priestly class seldom played a dominant role. The rituals were mostly performed by the concerned people. They did not require a third person to perform this. This is how the Tamil worship system commenced. So culturally, Tamils had a different beginning and a different formation. Then you know that Tamils were the first to excel in maritime activities. From time immemorial, the Tamils were having contact with the Roman Empire or Chinese Empire even before that. Not only they were receiving merchants from other countries, they themselves are visiting other countries. The peninsular India had the advantage to develop maritime activities. The Yavanas came here and settled here. The Chinese came here, traded with the local people. So, the Tamils from the time immemorial were excellent mariners in the early Vedic period. You don't find any encouraging remark to maritime activities. Even the great empires, the Mauryan Empire, did not have a navy on the seas. What Megasthenes refers to this navy was the boats which were to be used for the navigation in the rivers, large rivers, not in the seas. Most of the contact with other countries were through land route, not by sea route. But south, especially Tamils, had excellent contact with others through waterways, the sea route. They were excellent mariners. That is why we find the Tamil vocables in among the aborigines of the Polynesian, Melanesian tribes. And Tamil words were found in African region. All these were due to the Tamil contact. So Tamil civilization was not the offshoot of the Sanskrit civilization. It had an earlier beginning, it had a distinct development. So these were there. And also we find that Tamil architecture, even after the after the spread of Vedic values to the south, Tamils had a different system. The Shanmada which Shankara mentioned in his work, Shanmada, was exclusively applicable to south, especially the Saivism and Vaishnavism. These he adopted for the 6 worship systems which were acceptable to Shankara as a Shanmada. What is it significant? Because the Aryans originally were not idol worshippers. They did not have faith in the temples. They believed only in yajnas. They had no temple, no idols or temples in the early Vedic period. Later on, they adopted these deities from the Dravidians or from the Aborigines or Dravidians or from the Tamils. Only to make them amenable to the Aryan, the Varna system, they produced the Agamas and they developed what you call the Puranas. But even here, the Agamas are not applicable to northern temples. The structure of northern temple is entirely different. The structures of southern temples are distinct. That is why they are designated as Dravidian style of architecture. You cannot find similar temples elsewhere. So we have developed a specific, a distinct architectural system in south, in Tamil Nadu. Out of the 350 odd Saivite centers, more than 300 are in Tamil Nadu. Out of the 108 Vaishnava centers, more than 100 are in Tamil Nadu. All of them were huge structures with excellent sculptures. The credit is not adequately given to the Tamils. In the Indian history writings, we will find that the Gupta age is glorified, though it is confined to 150 years and was confined only to the Gangetic, the eastern part of Gangetic region. It is credited with achievements in architecture, painting, everything. And they added Ajanta and Ellora caves to the credit of these Guptas. Ajanta, Ellora were in Deccan, which were never ruled by the Guptas. And the caves commenced in the last stage of the Mauryas. And most of the caves were contributed by the Sadavahanas. And they continued to excavate caves even during the days of Rashtrakutas. Only a few caves could be attributed to the Guptan age, not the Guptan empire. But the credit is given to the Guptas. The Chittanavasal, which was a Jain contribution during the Pallava regime, the credit is given to the Guptas. So they have predetermined that everything glorious should be of northern origin. Though South made tremendous contribution, achievement in the field of literature, art, architecture, and even in music, everything. The Tamils were the only maritime conquerors. They were the first to establish a maritime empire. The Cholas were the only Indian political leader to have established a maritime overseas empire. Sumatra, Java and everything. No North Indian king ever conquered territories overseas. Yet you treat Tamils as an insignificant region in Indian history. How far we can reconcile to this neglect of Tamil Nadu in the national history? Think over it.
அது உன் கடவுளை விட, உன் சாஸ்திரத்தை விட, உன் முன்னோரை விட, உன் வெங்காயம் வழக்கமாத்தை விட உன் அறிவு பெருசு, அதை சிந்தி.